All right, welcome to the weekday video. This is Enda here, bullways.org. It's a market holiday today, so I decided, well, why not, why not do a video and at least that's something to chew on. Um, while I won't be putting any update on the website tonight. So, so primarily, I suppose this is for members, but anyone who's not a member, I suppose you can tag along as well. Um, And if you want to become a member, get over to bullways.org and sign up over there. So um, let's do a wide angle view of where we stand. And I'll start on the dollar FX here again. This is the daily chart. If you have been following the videos, you know that this is the rally off the 22 lows. September 22 lows was wave one. It looks like we're in a probably tracing out a second wave, but in an expanded flat correction. So the initial move down was wave A, then we're working on, seems to be three waves up, wave B, and then right back down again into wave C. Wave B itself is a little bit of a strange affair, but however, let's get into that. You can see there's the wave B low of B. So we had wave A up, and then we had three waves down in wave B. And from there, we've had wave 1, 2, and a possible third wave extension. Maybe wave 4 correcting right now. That's in line with the pattern anyway. And then we'll run higher into wave 5. So ideally, we kind of close out wave C of B up near that upper trend channel line, somewhere around, 113, maybe somewhere there. And then we head down into wave C later on. So if we go to the hourly count here, you can see extension in wave 3, looking for possible ABC down in wave 4. Wave 4 must hold above 109.15 and then a rally into wave 5 to close out wave C, to close out wave B. So overall, three waves down in wave 4 should take the rest of next week, probably, if this pattern is correct. I mean, you could argue that wave 4 is already done here, but it'll be quite a short correction in comparison to the previous wave 2 correction. But anyway, a fourth wave correction is what I'm tracking, and then we would run higher in wave 5. Okay, let's go to cable. This is the B wave. Just after having a cup of coffee, I think that's probably not a good idea. This is this is wave 1 and 2 to begin wave C. You can see overall for the last 7 years, we have a very long drawn out B wave underway, it seems. Wave A up, that was off the 2016 lows. Wave A up, and then an ABC down in wave B, and maybe a five-wave pattern now beginning, or has begun, up into wave C. So it'll be an overall expanded flat correction wave B. If this pattern is correct, then we're only beginning this wave C, and it looks like we still have a second wave correction to complete there. Go to the 4-hour count, you can see that's the wave 1 top, wave A down, ABC up in wave B, and then a turn lower into wave C is what I'm looking for. Still yet to confirm this pattern here. We do have an initial decline. It's not ideal yet, to be quite honest. We'll be looking for a more impulsive decline to confirm wave 1, but we might get there over the next few days. It depends on how the internal pattern resolves in here. We do seem to have a series of overlaps, so that could be, the initial declines do have an impulsive kind of nature to them. They have a nice spike lower, so at least the short-term kind of impetus is to the downside. So we'll see whether wave 1 can complete over the next few days. I'm looking at that previous wave B high, so that comes in at 130.44. So we break that in 5 waves, then I think we're on the ball here for a larger decline. Okay. Yeah, excuse me, dollar yen. Now it seems that we have a third wave, large degree third wave top in place. That I say it seems because there are a couple of ways you could view this. I mean, the alternate count is still quite bullish. To the in the medium term, it's still quite bullish, and that recent decline is only a second wave. The main count I'm going for, I'm kind of, let's say I'm erring on the side of caution here. And I am looking at a larger correction in wave 4 before a rally up into wave 5. So it's all to play for, I think. In probably the next few weeks, we should be able to confirm or deny the main wave count here. So you can see, in general, looking for 3 waves down in wave 4, probably back below 126 maybe to complete, maybe even as far down as 120, which is a large fall from grace over the next few months. But that should be followed by a pretty explosive rally, if this is correct. Now, let's go to the 4-hour count here. So we've got, that's the third wave high. So we're looking at wave A down of 4. So wave 4 is beginning, and this is the first move down. So A wave down. Initially looking at 5 waves down into wave A of A. And right now we've got the possibility of 3 waves up in wave B. And so far this pattern is, working out quite well. Looking for a top in wave B somewhere around 151, 152 maybe. That might close out this trend channel. It's also around the 50% retracement of wave A. So you can see the internal pattern of wave B is kind of working through the motions here. The next few days again should help us out here in confirming this main wave count. And once we get confirmed, then we could start making predictions. But somewhere around, I think 152 is a reasonable initial target area for wave C of B. So that's over the next week. We should continue higher, I suppose. Here's the Dow, the daily count. Again, we've had a possibility and then a rejection, a possibility and a rejection. So a series of possible reversals beginning, and then the market just rejecting that. I mean, people just haven't, in general, people just have not decided to let go of the bit between their teeth just yet. We've got, I still think this is a solid B wave high. We've got weekly count here. So this is wave B in red or wave B in black. You can see there's 2 degrees there, depending on how it works. I can't actually tell. I'm beginning to favor that larger degree wave B, which is probably even more catastrophic for the market in the short term anyway. Let's go to the daily count. You can see that's the wave B in red. So ABC up in wave B. Wave C of B is tracing out 5 waves. So wave 1, ABC wave 2, extension in wave 3, ABC wave 4. This is a complex running flat. So, or you could call it a combination running flat. So the combination is where each internal wave, is an expanded pattern itself, but it's also in 3 waves. So we have 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 3 waves down, making it damn complex and rendering the previous declines just rendering them false starts anyway. So possible 4th wave running flat in wave 4 of C, and now a rally to a new high in wave 5. The 4-hour count, you can see this upward sloping trend channel, possible 5 wave count already in place. We'll see whether that actually bears fruit or not this week. Let's see, on the hourly count, probably allowing for this to run higher a little bit in wave 5 until that pattern actually, is coherent in terms of the larger pattern. So we do have 3 waves down in wave 4 of 5. Wave 5 of 5 has yet to be kind of decided on how that's going to kind of manifest. It looks like maybe 3 waves up in wave 1. possibly 3 down and 2. This could be 3 up and 3. So eventually we'll see, where this cookie crumbles. It could be an ending diagonal, fifth wave. Okay, so this week, just looking for this wave to complete again, I suppose. Okay, let's move on. I think you could actually discern from the larger patterns where we are actually going, eventually once we do kind of give up on the pretense here. But the larger pattern is something to behold, especially when you start looking at where the previous supports lie. Okay, let's go to gold. This is the daily count in gold. Looking at the end of wave 3 in green here, with a possible emerging fourth wave. Look at that again. So the wave 3 with an emerging fourth wave yet to come. On the 4-hour count here, you can see this wave 3 in place, an ABC correction possibility in wave 4. That's kind of the main pattern at the moment. I don't have any confirmation of it yet. We do have a corrective looking pattern to the upside, and it is in 3 waves. So we've got the action in the medium term here pointing to a 3-wave rally to a new high. So that does suggest an expanded flat correction. So we'd look for wave C to come down below the previous wave A again, and probably find support back at 2290 again, where that previous triangle is. Overall, in the short term, still looking for the top of that wave B, and once we do turn, it'll be pretty obvious, I think. Okay, crude oil. Here's the daily count in crude oil. The triangle fourth wave worked out quite well. This is a long-term count. So off the 2023 lows, we have had an A, B, C, D, E. So a contracting triangle. Wave 4 in red is now complete, it seems. And now we should be heading lower into wave 5. And if we go to the 4-hour count, you can see that's fourth wave triangle high, and then possible 5-wave decline in wave 1. Still looking at this wave 2 scenario playing out. We're nowhere near there yet, I think. I did probably jump the gun previously by thinking that was wave 2 completed and we were heading down into wave 3. And you know what? I can't actually rule that pattern out yet either, but at least the short-term patterns is looking higher. Probably this week in wave C of 2. I'll show you that in the hourly count. You can see wave A top at about 78.90. We came down quite hard into wave B, but crucially enough, we didn't actually break to a new low. So, if we actually if I wanted to push the more bearish alternate there, I would just label that wave 1, and this would be wave 2 playing out here. But for the moment, I think it's reasonable enough to stay conservative, kind of an upside bias for the moment in wave C of 2, and that should be 5 waves up. So we've got wave A up, wave B down, and then wave 1, 2. So the correction in wave 2 came down quite, classic 3-wave form within the trend channel, and then we seem to have some sort of a reversal building here into wave 1 of 3. This has got to go higher this week to confirm this pattern. And if we decline again and we threaten that 71.27 low, then all bets are off for this wave count, and we could be looking at a much shorter second wave and a more immediate decline into wave 3 down. For the moment, I think it's reasonable enough to kind of stick with the upside. Look for wave 1 to retrace much of the declines in wave 2. So this wave 1 of 3 should retrace back up to that kind of 76 area to indicate that we are beginning wave 3 of C of 2. Okay, let's get on to S&P. This is the 4-hour count. S&P hasn't broken to a new high yet. Maybe it won't. I do suspect that we we will see a new high. I mean, the easiest thing for the market to do right now is to break to a new high. It didn't do it all last week, although I was expecting it. It just didn't happen for some reason. But it does. The internal pattern here is a pretty good. It's a pretty good bet that it's a corrective sideways move, and we will break out to a new high in the next few days. As for the pattern, it looks. I've kind of said this all week that as long as we don't have a new high, then I'm going to stick with the main pattern. But it looks like we probably will break to a new high, so this can still be viewed as a second wave lower high, but we're most likely going to run higher in wave 5 of 5. So, I suppose make of that what you will. I'm going to let the market decide that one, and once it does, then we'll look again for that new top. If we do break out, well, we do have a trend channel here. We're probably talking about 5,800 before turning lower again. And this is just the reality of bubbles, eh? Okay, let's move on. Silver getting close to a pretty reasonable low, I think. The bullish count is still intact. We still have a wave 1 and 2 scenario here. So we've got, you can see there off the previous high, you've got an ABC down, and we held off the 200 where we bounced back up off the 200 MA, but we're correcting again. So it seems at the moment that a possible series of higher lows are building again. So we have the main count there showing that wave 2 low. It did break below the 50% retracement level, so it's a solid retracement, a solid pattern, corrective pattern to the downside. Hits a nice. It's got a nice internal pattern. It hits the the requisite kind of Fibonacci retracement that you would expect in a second wave. 50% minimum, and then we've bounced pretty impulsively off that low right now. Here's the hourly count. That's wave 1 of 3 at last week's high. Then we've got an ABC down, tracing out in wave 2. And we have broken the previous fourth wave low, and we have today hit the 50% retracement level. So again, we're looking at a corrective higher low building in a possible wave 2, and we could head higher into wave 3 of 3 pretty soon if this is correct. So I would watch silver pretty closely over the next few days, and if this pattern is broken, well then we will work with that. But I think it's pretty solid at the moment. Okay, here's the Nasdaq. Nasdaq, surprisingly enough, has not brought us to a new high, and you can see we still have a possible 5 waves pattern lower and 3 waves up. So should I remain hopeful that there is an upside, a bearish upside here, or sorry, a bearish downside here, or will this market prove me incorrect as well? So at this point in time, both of those scenarios are very possible. I cannot rule out. I mean, it's staring me in the face with 3 waves up at the moment. Granted, the drift lower over the last week has not been the most productive, but we'll just let the market do what it's going to do there. We do have 3 waves up. We're still holding a lower high, so we will see pretty soon. I mean, if the Nasdaq turns lower, that does kind of spell disaster for everything else. Okay, let's get. Yeah, I think that's about it. In terms of the week ahead, I don't think anything major in the next few days anyway is going to happen. I do think we will see a reversal, to more dollar strength in the coming days, or in the coming weeks anyway. The dollar seems to be seriously oversold, along with an overbought market, probably overbought precious metals as well, to be honest. Even given that count in silver, in general, precious metals have been, bought quite aggressively. And again, in general, I don't quite like it when central banks are jumping on the bandwagon there. They are usually the biggest contrarian that you would ever wish to hope to see. But anyway, the next week should be quite interesting in terms of settling a few of the questions I have about the internal patterns, and I've mentioned them as I went through them there. But the most intriguing one for me has been, in the short term anyway, is the stock market, and I would love to see that resolved. I would love to see a top finally come in that B wave, and then let's get this party started. Let's say. Okay. Apart from that, I usually end the updates with the good news. That is the good news of the Messiah, and I remember telling my teenage daughter there recently that for all you atheists out there, there's one simple, proof of the design scenario in creation to prove design. If you strip back, if you're a coder and you go back to the nuts and bolts of coding, you might use a higher level language, but in general, you're just setting up a series of ones and zeros. At the very base level, you're setting up, a Boolean kind of, 128-bit or whatever 64-bit kind of string. Your higher level language is performing tasks and it's setting up those strings. And if you dig down into the code, you've got Boolean code right at the bottom end of your laptop or the bottom end of your your device or any sort of electronic software. And the proof that the coding on your device did not result from osmosis, or it did not result from random, processes providing some sort of, amazing eventuality. This, design eventuality over millions of years. It just evolved to, this code just evolved randomly to perform these amazing tasks on our devices, and it's set up into a coherent Boolean code. That's the stupidest. If I tried to make that argument with you, that is the stupidest argument I could possibly make. Now, if you think your laptop or your phone or your watch or your anything is a mastery of design, well, then just look outside your window, because there are slugs crawling around, there are snails crawling around, there are hedgehogs, there are foxes, there are bees flying through the air, and each one of those is orders of magnitude more complex than what we have running on our computers here. Yet, we will allow ourselves to believe that they were not designed. We have no problem suggesting or believing that the computer coding was designed, but yet we also have no problem believing that processes and life forms that are orders of magnitude, like probably tens of orders of magnitude more complex, hundreds of orders of magnitude more complex than our computer coding, like say the common bee that's flying around in your back garden, way more complex, infinitely more complex. But yet we have no problem believing that bee just kind of emerged from primordial soup somewhere, and the coding within its DNA is just random. It's laughable. It's laughable that we can convince ourselves of that. It's laughable, but it's explainable because we are enemies of our creator. if you are an unbelieving, you don't have faith, that means God counts you as an enemy. You are his enemy. Even though he loves you, you are not on his side. As you are walking away from him, you have decided yourself that you are not going to believe that he is the creator. And that in itself, is sinful. So we have a problem here. We are sinful creatures that have walked away from our creator. But there is good news, and this is the good news. That God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son as a propitiation, as the perfect sacrifice, to pay for our sinful nature. Even when we do believe that there is a creator God, like, godly Jews or, godly Muslims will believe that there is a creator God. We may disagree who that God is, but they do believe there is one creator God. But you are still in enmity with God. You are still an enemy to God. You're in opposition to God due to your very nature, because we are sinful. We are sinful from Adam. We've inherited that sin. And down through the ages, there has been a promise. And the promise was that God would provide a sacrifice to take care of sin. Abraham said God would provide the lamb. Moses said that, one is coming after me, and you should listen to him. The prophets, Isaiah pictured him, saw him in Isaiah 53. For you Jews out there who don't read your scriptures, you should open the pages of Isaiah and read Isaiah 53. Even Psalm 21, Psalm 20. The sacrifice was provided in the Messiah. The Messiah came to pay the sin debt, and that was the whole point to the sacrificial rituals of the Old Testament, was to point to what the Messiah was going to do. And he paid for that sin debt, and in doing that, he opened up relationship with God again. So through placing our faith in that sacrifice for sin, we are accounted righteousness. Our faith grants us the righteousness of the Messiah. And just as it's written about Abraham, he believed God, and it was accounted to him as righteousness. So his faith in what God was going to do was counted to him as righteousness. And it's that simple. But, as Jesus said himself, you've hidden these things from the wise and revealed them to babes. So I would, counsel you to be a babe in front of the Lord God, your creator, Adonai Elohim, the creator God. Be like a child and just ask, and God will show you. Everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. And, if you seek, you shall find. And that's what Jesus said. It's a promise. It's not light words, flimsily said. It was a promise that if you search with an open heart, you will be, it will be revealed to you, that the Messiah came, that Jesus came, he died for the sins of the world. And on the third day, he rose again, defeating death. And that's the whole point. Because no matter how many good trades you have, you're still going to die, and you still have to, you leave all your profits, losses, ups, downs, joys, tragedies behind you. And you will have to face a just God. So I would ask you to face God with the righteousness of Christ, with the righteousness of the Messiah, given to you through your faith. And that is that, I think. Okay, happy whatever it is, holiday, wherever the markets are closed in the US. But I'll be back tomorrow with the nightly update, and hopefully next weekend I'll be back with the weekend update. Hope you enjoy that. If you did, check out bullwaves.org and put your faith in Christ as well. Amen. Bye bye.